Okay, so today I'm gonna give my review of Mockingjay. I finished this a couple days ago, but I didn't have enough time to make a video, so this is gonna be my video on the review. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't finished it yet, or if you haven't read The Hunger Games, go read it, and then, yeah. Okay. So, when I finished Catching Fire, I was like, oh, Peter got captured, and I was so sad, but then, so the only thing that I thought Mockingjay, the only theory I had on Mockingjay was like, oh great, Peter got captured, now Katniss is in he's in the hovercraft with Katniss, or District 13. It's like, okay, now they're gonna, bond together, and then they're gonna start liking each other, and then it's gonna be even harder for Katniss to choose. So I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be one of those books where it's gonna be a love triangle, and then I read it, and I'm glad that I was wrong, because that would just, it made it so much better that it wasn't about the love triangle. Like, the love triangle didn't overpower the fact that they were at war, and that was the most important thing. Finnick, the way I saw Finnick in Catching Fire, I saw him, I felt like it was the way that Katniss saw him. Like, he was cute, he was, like, flirty, but it wasn't, like, anything. But he really grew on me in this book. Like, when he was in his, like, underpants in the elevator, and I felt like he was the only person in District 13 that truly made Katniss smile and laugh. And I thought that was really important, like, considering their situation, and he was the one that always made her laugh. And then Katniss and Finnick always bonded as well. The fact that Peeta and Annie were captured, both people they cared about, and they had that in common. And the day that Katniss walked over to his room and they tied knots together, I thought that was just, Finnick really grew on me. And when he died, I was just, I had to, like, read that part over again. It was so sad for me. So sad. I'm glad Katniss did Nightlock on him, because I can't imagine him, like, being, like, torn apart. Like, that just kills me. So I'm glad she did it. Another thing is, when I started Mockingjay, I thought, oh, this is gonna, like, the whole book is gonna be centered around how they'll be able to get Peeta back. Like, that's what I thought. It's gonna be on the love triangle and how they're gonna get Peeta and everybody else back from thing. But then, early into the book, or kind of almost halfway through, they easily got Peeta and Johanna and everybody else, and I thought, oh, how was that? That was way too easy for. So I liked that I had no idea what was gonna happen. Like, once they got them back, I was like, oh my god, I really don't know where this book is going, and it just kept me at my feet, and everything was unexpected. And I like not being, like, I like it when books aren't typical. I like it when it's like a surprise, and I get surprised. And honestly, throughout this whole book, it was surprise after surprise after surprise. Most of them were devastating, but it was really powerful. And then all of a sudden, Peter's back, and that, like, she was so excited. She's like, oh, this is finally, finally got what I wanted. And then she's ready to hug him, and then he chokes her, and oh, that just killed me, and I was just so upset. Oh, that's bad. But, I mean, I think it was a very good twist to the story. Like, nobody expects that. I really don't think anyone expected that. I just think it was a great twist, and that just made it so much harder on Katniss, which is another point of, like, things going down. Everything was, like, so terrible for Katniss. I try to imagine being in her position, and I just can't. Like, her life just really sucked. Can you, like, oh. Prim was another, oh my god, her and Finnick, I think, no, Prim was the worst one, because it took me a while, like, as soon as she said like, she had the shirt tail like a duck, and I was like, oh my god, Prim, what the hell is she doing here? Why is she in the Capitol? Why? She's 13 years old. Why would they put her there? And that's exactly what Katniss was thinking. And the thing I liked about that scene is that since it's written, the book is written in Katniss's point of view, so like, we feel like, we're reading what she's feeling, and I feel like if I was in that situation, that's exactly what I would be doing, you know, like, running to her, and then she explodes, and then you kind of pass out, and, like, you still don't know what just happened, because, like, 1 minute Prim's there, and then the next minute, she's not, she just exploded, and, oh, that's just a horrible, horrible thing to happen. Can you imagine, like, you're looking at someone, and then 1 second later, I thought that was really powerful. The way she wrote it, like, we still weren't sure, did Prim really die? Because all we heard was the bombings, and then Katniss, like, passed out, and then and the fact that it was Gale's bomb, oh my god. As soon as we found out, I knew she wasn't going to be with Gale anymore. I was like, that's something that they would have a really hard time getting past, the fact that Gale made the bombs that killed Prim. And then Coin suggested a Hunger Game for the Capitals, and Katniss agreed, and I was like, oh, I don't know why I guess I understand, but it was just, like, ridiculous. I want Coin to die, because that defeats the whole purpose of, like, everybody having a say. Why would you punish the Capital? It's like, as much as the districts don't have a say in the Hunger Games, neither did the Capital kids. They can't help that they were born in the Capital, you know what I mean? It's just how it is, and they shouldn't be punished for it. They should just change. I thought it was weird how she was in her room for a really long time, and she's trying to commit suicide. That was really hard. But I guess, I mean, her sister died. Gale made the bombs that killed her sister. Peeta, she didn't even know if she was ever going to get him back again, because he was just going through some, yeah. And then her mom, like, she couldn't even think about, like, how would you go up to, like, she already has troubles talking with her mom with the fact that her dad died, and then now Prim died. Like, I think that would be really hard for her to, like, have a conversation with her mom without, like, crying their eyes out, obviously. And then when she goes back to District 12, I thought it was really weird how she had spent, like, months in solidarity, and not even Gale or her mother came to visit. I thought that was weird when I first read it. I was like, how can you just leave like that? Leave to District 2 and District 4, I think. I thought that was, like, the weirdest thing. But then I think about it, and I'm like, what if you were in that position? Like, if I was Gale, I don't know what I'd be able to say to Katniss about the bombs. Like, you can't, there's not enough times you can say you're sorry. That's not going to bring Prim back. And I think they just needed the time. I mean, look at this whole situation. Like, since day one, ever since she went to the Hunger Games, it's just been, Katniss's life has just been, like, horrible, horrible things have happened. And, like, how many deaths, how many people has she killed? So I guess it made sense in a way. And then, in the end, she ends up with Peeta, which I've always been Team Peeta ever since book 1. I don't know. I guess I agree with what Katniss said about her, she needs the promise that life will go on, and I totally agree. Katniss and Gale are alike, but sometimes you don't need, if you're someone like Katniss who's been through so much, you don't need a person who's just like you. You need someone who is, I don't want to say better than you, but who can look at things in like, in the bright side. And Peeta is definitely a person that does that. Gale is more, like, he's brutally honest about everything, like, just like Katniss. And she needs a little, you know, something to brighten her day, and Peeta's always been the one to do that. When they describe the kids, the fact that one had, like, I think it's black or brown hair with blue eyes, which is like Katniss's hair and Peeta's eyes, and then blonde hair and gray eyes, which is Peeta's hair and Katniss's eyes, which I thought was cute. I did obviously notice a change from the other two books. The other two, I think the other two were focused on the arena, and the way I see it, it was like Katniss's main focus was Peeta. Like, she wanted to save Peeta. She thought that he was obviously the better person, so she wanted to keep him alive. That was more later in the Hunger Games, and then throughout Catching Fire, she wanted to keep Peeta alive, right? And that was her only focus. She forgot all about Gale and her family because she was in the games, and she was ready to die for Peeta, and that was it. And then she would die, and then Peeta would be alive, and it all would be okay. But she ended up surviving both games, and then it was like the games were everywhere, and she had way too many people that she wanted to save, and she just couldn't do it. And I feel like that's why she was all depressed, and she had, like, those nervous breakdowns, and she would just go hide in the closet. I mean, can you imagine? I can't even imagine. Like, some people say that, oh, Katniss changed so much, but do you realize the kind of situation that she is in? Like, she is not safe. No one that she loves is safe. Anything could be taken away at any moment, that, like, just like Prim and Finnick, and it's like, just like that. Bomb, Prim is no longer there, and it's just, that, it's like the reality of the Hunger Games. It's always been like that. It's always been a tragic thing. Ever since book 1, it's always been deaths, and it carried out in this one. Just that this one, it wasn't, the tributes weren't, there weren't only 24 tributes in Mockingjay, let's just say. Everybody was tributes, and anybody had a chance of dying. Everybody had a risk of dying, and that was just the way it was in this book, and I loved it for it. I don't mean for it to sound like I love the death, but I love that it was like, it was real. It wasn't, she didn't try to cover it up. She didn't try to sweeten, like, the reality of it all. It was the way it is, and that's how it had to be dealt with, you know? And I'm so glad that she didn't make it about the love triangle and the fact, oh, who do I choose, Peter or Gale? Because she has more things to worry about than who she ends up with. It's so similar in some ways to how people act nowadays that it is absolutely believable. Like, I can see this happening, which is, it's really sad, but that's what made it so powerful, is that you can actually picture, and it really gets to you. Overall, I loved this book, and I loved these series, and I recommend it to anybody, anyone. It is such an emotional book, and it's so powerful. It's not one of those books that you read and then you just move on to something else and you totally slips to the back of your mind. It's just, I feel like I'm always going to be thinking about it, because it's so real in the sense that it's absolutely, I don't even know what I'm saying. It messes with your head, and it's so realistic, because you really feel like you are Katniss, and everything Katniss sees is what you experience. Like, when she blacks out and she doesn't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on, and I feel like that just makes it a lot more real. And the fact that this could potentially happen in the future is also something that makes it really good. These are probably my favorite series, definitely. I don't think I've ever read a book that was this powerful and just insane, crazy, overwhelming, and 5 stars. I definitely give it 5 stars, and they are right on my bookshelf, right there, right beside Harry Potter. Yeah, and that's the way it's gonna be. Okay.